Hello, everybody, and welcome to another riveting episode of Kyle's Trail Miles. I'm Kyle, and today I've got a special edition episode for you. I do all kinds of videos here. I'm going to start doing shoe reviews. I do weekly recaps, which I haven't in a couple of weeks, I know, because I took a bit of a hiatus over Christmas, but I'll have one out tomorrow. But today, we are doing 2025, what my plans are for races. I've got them all listed here, and what my overarching sort of theme of training is going to be to get prepared for these races. So with that, let's jump right in. At the time of recording this, it is January 7th. Man, already the 7th. Like, time just flies by. And we're right into 2025. I love having my races already ready to go come the new year. I'm already signed up for all of them except for one. Actually, two, because and both of them registration isn't open yet. But this is how I'm rolling. So, and then, and how I do it is I rate my races because I like going in lots of races. I'm in 7 this year. Or 7 events, I should say. And the way that I rate them is I rate them as an A race is something that I'm actively training towards, and I'm going to lay it all out on the line for that race. And then a B race is basically an A race in waiting. So it's like it's not something I'm maybe actively training for, but if something happened with my A race, life got in the way or something, then I can quickly just kind of move my B race up and it becomes my A race. And then I've got C races where I'm more just going in it to have fun and enjoy and things like that. And I love that. Like, there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with going in a C race and just going through. And let's say you can do it in 10 hours, but you do it in 12 hours and you just really enjoy the day. I love that experience. I just love being a part of races. So let's get right into it. First on the docket, May 3rd. These dates might be a little off. I was kind of going by memory on the dates, but right around May 3rd, the Old Man Backyard Ultra here in Lethbridge. It's a backyard ultra. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, go look it up. But it's basically a run you can run until you can't run anymore, essentially. And I've gone in it 2 years in a row now. This will be my 3rd. And the first year I went in it, my goal was to hit 100K. I'd never been in this format before, and so I didn't really know what to expect. So my goal was 15 yards and 100 kilometers, which I was able to do. It was a great race, great experience. Then the next year, which was last year, I decided that I was going to go for 100 miles. And, obviously I was more experienced. I knew what I was doing and I had a plan, and, I was going to hit this 100 miles. And I hit 100 kilometers, and I just made a very major tactical error. I'll do a race recap video on that because you could, everyone out there could probably learn a lot from my stupidity. But anyways, so I definitely have some things to prove in this race. So this is definitely what I would consider an A race for me. I definitely want to kind of lay it all out there for this one. And my goal for this race is just simply to not have a goal and just see how far I can run. And I think that might have been something that tripped me up last year because I had that 100-mile goal, and it just had I not had that goal and just wanted to see how far I go. Anyways, again, I'll get into that in another video, but that's my number one. That's my first race, and definitely would consider that an A race. So second one, end of May, it's like May 25th, is the Calgary Marathon. It's a road marathon up in Calgary. I live in Lethbridge, so 2 hours north in Calgary. I go in this every year. I've been doing it I've probably done it 8 or 9 times now. And I just love this marathon because I'm not from sort of the big city. And in Calgary, they close off like downtown streets, and you run right on the roads, these major roads that I'm used to driving when I'm up there. So it's just really neat. And I think the funnest part about this, excuse me, is when you go down this big long turnaround and then you're kind of swinging back, and you can and it starts and ends in downtown, and so you can see downtown way in the distance, and it looks like astronomically far away. Like, it's just this little, and you're like, what? Like, is that where I'm running to? You're already 25 kilometers in this race, and you're just like, what, really? And then, but it just, it's just fun. It's just a fun event. So this for me is definitely a solid, like, I'm calling it a dealer's choice race because who knows? I'll see how I feel. I'll see how the backyard goes. If I show up to this race and I feel ready to rock, there's nothing stopping me from trying to set a PR. Last year, last year it was my A race. I did my fastest marathon, which was 3:32. And so this year, maybe I could do faster, but at the same time, if I run like a 3:45 and kind of just scale back a bit, I'm more than fine with that. 2 years ago, I ran it as more of just a C race, and it was like one of the funnest races I've ever run. I just cruised through, really enjoyed it, and so dealer's choice on that one. But we'll see with the day leads. But as of right now, I'm kind of treating it like a solid B- race. Then June 7th, so 2 weeks later, there's a race here in Lethbridge. It's called the Cactus Coulee Crawl. It's like one of my favorite races of all time because it's 32 kilometers, 20 miles through the hills of Lethbridge here, which I run all the time. And it's just this very like runnable, fast. It still has 1,000 meters ish of elevation, but it's runnable elevation, and it's only 32 kilometers. Last year I did it, I think, in like I can't even remember, like 3:15 or something, and that's the time isn't really important because I'll get to that in a second. But it's just a super fast, super runnable race. And last year I actually won this mug because for the first time ever I like won something in a race because I came in, I think, either second or third in my age group, and I came in sixth overall, which for me is like, that's crazy. And what was really crazy is I was actually in third place. Like I was gonna podium this baby, and then with about 10 kilometers left, three guys just slowly came by me. I was just powerless. I was like, and but I managed to hold on for sixth. It was like such a great experience. So this year, I'm gunning for that podium. I don't know, obviously, depending on who's in the race or whatever, but yeah, I want to see if I can, I don't know, maybe podium that one this year. So that's super exciting. Then the A++ race of the whole year, what all of my training is leading towards, and what I'm probably the most excited about for the year, is not a race. It's actually an event that me and a couple buddies are going to do, where a friend of mine is really good at, like mapping out courses and things like that. And so he's mapped out a 5-day fast pack around the Kananaskis, Canmore, Banff sort of area. So we'll be staying at, like backwoods campgrounds and things. Kind of, we have support along the way, but one night is in a hotel, which will be awesome. But 300 kilometers over 5 days. So it's like 70, 60 kilometers per day. I don't even know how many feet of elevation on this whole thing. Actually, I do. I was looking at it last night. I think it's like 9,000 meters or something. So, yeah, I mean, for that, well, I'll get into my training plan for this in a minute, but that is like the A+. If I can somehow manage to do a 5-day fast pack, 300 kilometers in the mountains, that would be like a lifetime epic achievement for me. So, yeah, that's going to be exciting. So after that, assuming I'm still, with it, after that, August 20th, I'm signed up for the Moose Mountain ultra marathon. It's a 50 kilometer, 50 mile? No, I think it's 50 kilometer in the Bragg Creek area where I run all the time with a couple buddies. So familiar with that area. That I think I'm going to treat as like a solid B race. We'll see how the 5-day fast pack goes, but it would be fun to race that race and just kind of see. But solid B race on that one. If it has to drop down to a C race, I'm okay with that. Then September 8th is the race that I go in every year. I've been going in it now for, other than a few years, I took off when my kids were born, like for 20 years or something, is the Lethbridge Lost Soul Ultra, which is there's 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, and 100 miles. I've always gone in the 50 kilometer, and last year I came in 11th, which was my best time. The year before that I came in 20th, so I've been sort of slowly improving. This year I'm actually making the leap to me and a buddy to the 100 kilometer, and I really want to treat this as an A race and come out hot and see how good I can do in that race. Like I think I don't want to jinx it, but if I can get in like a good year of training, I think I can come in top 10 in this baby. 100 kilometers. I run this course all the time. Like, this is my training rounds. If I leave my house and I run for 9 minutes, I am on this course. And from there, I run it all the time. It's my favorite place to run. I love it. So I know every inch of the course. There is some that's on private land, which obviously I can't run, but I've run it enough. Like, I know every inch of this course. I love it. Yeah, so really excited for that run. Then this one was our A race of the year, but because I haven't done a 100-mile race yet. That's like on the list. And so this year, me and a couple buddies were kind of like searching around, like, what 100-mile do we want to do? And there's a Bow Valley Ultra inaugural 100-mile race. And the registration was supposed to open like a few weeks ago, and then they closed it. And so it just says TBD now for registration. But it's September 30th. So that's where kind of the ABC races get into the mix. So if I sign up for this, that 100-mile is the A race of the season, outside of, probably that fast pack. But the fast pack will be more of a training ground for this 100-mile. Like, I want to complete a 100-mile race. If I can make it happen this year, great. If not, 100% next year it's happening. Maybe not complete, but I want to go in one, I should say. I don't want to jinx myself. So as soon as registration for that opens up, I'm signing up. And that's the plan. So 7 races. That's my plan for this year. It's definitely a lofty year, and I'm signed up for all of them except for the Cactus Coulee Crawl, because the registration hasn't gone up yet. But that's like a very local race. I don't think it even ever has filled up. And then the 100-mile at the end. So how does my training look to get prepared for this? I mean, this is a lot of different races, a lot of different elements to this. How do I position my training? Well, I think, excuse me, I think the overarching theme of this training has to be big day volume, big week volume, consistent volume, and back-to-back days volume. So a lot of what I'm saying here is volume, and I think that's my number one goal, is just to stick with my 70 kilometers per week and there actually is another sort of like a goal, but I think as like an overarching, while I'm inside for this, the next couple of months, January, February, just to keep logging those 70 kilometer weeks, get that volume up as much as I can. And then once I can get out in the spring, I got to start putting together like some pretty good size back-to-back days. Like, if I can get out for 3-4 hours on Saturday and then 3-4 hours on Sunday, not every week, but I got to start putting those together, because obviously I just got to get miles in my legs. I got to run on tired legs. I just got to get out there as much as I can, in the hills, so that's my sort of overarching plan. I know it's not very like sort of elegant, but that's the plan, is just back-to-back longer days, run on tired legs. So my sort of microcosm of plans is, for the next 2 months, January, February, my A goal is weight training. I definitely do not gravitate towards weight training. In fact, I gravitate away from weight training. I just don't enjoy it, because I don't think most runners really do. I am not a hybrid athlete, but I do understand the value of weight training, and from an injury prevention position alone, I've noticed since I started weight training, it's just so valuable. I do not weight train in the summer. I always say I'm going to, but I don't. I live in Canada. When I can get outside and run for those 5-6 months where it's nice out, I'm going to run. And so I got to get all my weight training in kind of in the winter. So the way I do it, I've talked about this in another video, is my wife and I do the Carolyn Gervine videos on YouTube. They're free. They're amazing. We traditionally do the Iron series together, but I committed to her the other day that I'm going to do the Epic 3 series, which instead of a half an hour video, which we usually do, this is now a 45-minute video, and it's much more kind of intense, less rest, more sort of, just more. And I've always avoided this, but finally this year, when I looked at my race schedule, I was like, all right, I'm committing, I'm making it happen. And don't tell my wife I said this, but I think we're the perfect couple to weight train together, because she's very motivated to like get downstairs, get the video on and like, let's get rolling. Me, maybe not as much. But once we start, she has a tendency to kind of hit pause a few times. I do not do that. Like, I want to get through this as quickly as possible. I don't care how much it hurts. I want this to be over. And so no pausing, like we are rocking through this thing. So we kind of complement each other well. But that's the plan. So my A goal is 4 of these videos a week. So that's 45 minutes times 4 a week. That is my A goal, big bore or steel. If I have to choose between getting my 70 in or getting these 4 workouts in over January, February, I will choose the workouts. It pains me to say that, but that's what I've committed to. Weight training. I'm making it happen. So January, February, I think there's 50 episodes in this series, and some of them are like cardio, which we're not going to do. So let's say there's like 45. So I figure 4 times anyways, you get the idea. The other A goal I have, or let's call it like an A minus goal for January, February, is to lose 10 pounds. Right now, I weigh 170 pounds, which is too heavy for my height. My height is 6'2" on a dating app if I were on one. So what does that equal? Like 5'10". So 5'10" in real life, 170 pounds. That is too heavy. So yeah, I got to get down to 160. So that's my plan. 160. And for me, losing weight is simple. It is not easy, but it is simple. It comes down to how many calories I put into the hole in my face versus how many calories I burn. That's it. It's, for me, I know some people say like, oh, there's way more to, maybe for you there is, I don't know. But for me, it's a simple math problem. If I put less calories in this thing than I burn, then I will lose weight. And so I just need to simply stop eating as much. So for the next 2 months, that's my plan. Healthy foods, less calories, lose 10 pounds. Got to make it happen. So that's sort of my next goal in the next little while. And then the other goal I have, again, my sort of like overarching goal is this 70 kilometers per week. But, you know, again, that's more of like a B goal right now. But another goal I have is to run hills while I'm on the treadmill. So I've started doing that the last couple of days. And so what I do is I usually run at 7.5 or 8 kilometers, or miles per hour rather. I'm not sure what that like equals to. I just on my treadmill. And that's kind of like a low heart rate, sort of, you know, easy effort. But what I'm going to integrate is 1 or 2 times through that run, if say I'm doing like a 10K run, I'm going to do 5 miles per hour at 12% incline, which is like just a sort of like a slow run, but it's up. And by the time like the first, you know, half a kilometer, you're like, oh man, maybe I should go up to 6. But the second half of that kilometer, it's like, okay, yeah, I want this to be over now. So that's my plan, is to work 1 or 2 of those into each run. And my plan actually, and I did this yesterday and it worked really good, is I'm going to use a random number generator before my run to determine which 1 or 2, depending on what I decide, kilometers in that run I'm going to run that hill in. Because I think that's important. Like if I always wait until I'm kind of ready for it, then, you know, but in an ultra marathon or you're running around in the hills or the mountains, you don't get to choose when your when your elevation comes. So it's going to random number generate. Last night it was number 7, I believe. So I did it then, and it just really worked out really good. So that's my plan. So weight training for the next 2 months. A goal, losing weight. Let's call that A minus. B plus is still getting in my 70 per week, and then probably equal to that is doing at least 1 hill kilometer per run. So there you have it. That's my plan for the next 2 months until I can kind of get outside with any consistency, and then I'll reevaluate and determine sort of what my plan is. I do have a plan once I can start getting outside. I want to up my kilometers. Like I'd like to be up in the like 90, 100, even over 100 kilometers per week. But that's, you know, for another day. So right now, 2 more kilometers of snow and freezing and shenanigans. So if I can stick to this plan for the next 2 months, I think I'll, you know, be very ready to take on these 7 races and see how it goes. So there you go. Follow along. Again, every week I'll have a weekly recap of what my training looked like the week before, and I'll kind of give you an overview on how things went and whatnot. And yeah, throw down in the comments what you're racing this year, what your plan is, or what you think I should be doing different, or if you have any tips and tricks to be motivated to do weight training in the summertime. I'd love to hear it. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we will chat soon.